is a relatively recent organisation. It was kicked off really in a discussion back in 2021 at the ITU level, where there was this belief that whilst the mobile industry is incredibly well serviced by the GSMA, there was no equivalent industry association servicing the needs of the fixed industry. There's certainly many standards bodies that are making the standards that allow the fixed industry to work, but there wasn't really an industry association that did what GSMA has done for the mobile industry. Create the events and create the profile and pressure and to governments and so on to make things better. And so it was kicked off in 2021 as a discussion between a lot of the major players in the industry, and through various discussions that turned into the seed of an organisation in early 2022. It was formally created in October 2022 and incorporated in Switzerland, and has been running ever since in pulling together the key players in the industry to understand what's happening and where we want to drive the industry to the benefit of all. Its focus is really on making broadband availability for everyone, everywhere, and to drive that availability and make that happen more rapidly. And of course, broadband availability has a huge economic impact on any country that broadband availability emerges in. So if you put connectivity into any developing economy, you will increase the GDP by a certain percentage. If you put fibre connectivity and broadband into that economy, you'll have an even disproportionately larger impact on the GDP of that economy. So the WBBA is a World Broadband Association, and we have members in right across North Africa and the Middle East, as well as in Europe, US, China, Asia, Australasia, Latin America. And in each of those economies, what we're doing is understanding the specific challenges of those economies in terms of accelerating broadband availability. And then we're getting the members from those regions to help educate us in that area so we can build the arguments for advocacy for broadband in every region, including in this Middle East, North Africa region. We've got 4 working groups within the WBBA looking at the roadmap for the future of broadband. Again, if you think of the fixed world compared to the mobile world, in the mobile world, every child in the world is familiar with the concept of 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. We've never had the same sort of concept, even though we've had the same sort of evolution in the fixed world. We've never thought about it in terms of how to structure that together. What's that roadmap look like? And the past is the past, but looking forward into the future, where is broadband connectivity going? It's not just about speed, it's about latency, and it's about availability and reliability and security, as well as other sustainable activities and sustainable aspects of fibre. It's well recognised that fibre is much more sustainable than any other of our connectivity technologies. So one of our key areas has been looking at the big challenge of defining that next generation roadmap. We're also building advocacy, as I just mentioned, so building the argument for the future of broadband. How do governments and regulators and influencers and investors make the argument for investing in broadband everywhere, not just in the developed economies? We've got a working team on sustainability, as I've just mentioned, and sustainability is a hugely important aspect of the future of broadband, how broadband can influence the carbon footprint of companies and countries around the world. And then we have a working group on some of the network technology challenges, in particular how broadband exists with the wider world of the cloud. So those are 4 of our key working groups. In terms of challenges, it's how do we identify and knock down the barriers to broadband rollout in every country? And those are some very practical, legal, regulatory, planning permission type of barriers. Some are broader economic challenges, like at what stage does a country decide to switch off copper and move entirely to fibre? Or what's the balance between fibre for the future and 5G, 5.5G, 6G for the future? So those things are all of the key discussions that are going on in the WBBA, and WBBA has been advocating to make these changes and trying to find what's the right balance on some of these changes. Well, digital transformation is my home territory. My most recent book was written on the topic of transforming the telco. So it's the transformation, the digital transformation challenge of the telco industry. I suppose the first topic in transformation is think broadly, don't think narrowly, because transformation affects all aspects of your business. Within the context of a telco, it's not just about the network, it's about security, it's about data and connectivity, it's about new services, about people, it's about customers, it's about the business models that you adopt. And that is true for a company, and it's primarily true for a region as well. Digital transformation is not just about putting in connectivity, though that's a very important aspect. You have to build that connectivity, then you have to educate the people to use and need that connectivity. You have to have the right skills in your environment, and that's not just the ability to create a connectivity environment, but also the AI and ChatGPT type of skills. And then you also have to really understand, what are we going to use this connectivity for? What are the new industries? Because a lot of people think of a digitally transformed economy in terms of consumers and households. But the reality is that the biggest argument for all of this is smart manufacturing, smart ports, smart hospitals, smart education, smart retail. It's the whole enterprise world is really what's going to make the business argument for underpinning a digital economy. So when I talk to governments, it's about, don't get yourself left behind the rest of the world. It's not, in many respects, mobile is enough to connect your population, though many places still don't have that mobile connectivity. But if you really want your businesses to be able to compete on a level playing field with the very best in China and Korea and Japan and the US and Europe, you need really top level digital transformation of your enterprise world, and so that you can draw some aspects of their work into your overall economy. The future of the WBBA, really, as I say, it's in its early stages. But there's a huge hunger for the WBBA in the industry. So we will grow the membership quite rapidly over the coming years. We're running events, we've got working groups running, we're producing flagship publications. We're in the conversations at this excellent event, like Samina event, with the key decision makers, because it's not only about the push from the telecoms operators and the telecom suppliers, it has to be the pull from the governments and from the investors, as well as from, as I keep coming back to, the enterprises themselves and what they need from broadband. So we're trying to pull all of those stakeholders into our ongoing conversations about how quickly do we move things, what capabilities does the demand side need, when does it need them, and what will it pay for them? Because we have to create a future broadband industry that achieves a sustainable return on investment for the people who are supplying it. It can't just rely on government incentives, so they will help, but ultimately it has to have a sustainable long-term ROI. So I think the future is about building a much larger organisation with a diverse set of stakeholders and getting the conversation going on what's needed, when, and what the benefits will be for all the stakeholders.